Thanks for joining us here on Indivisible. I'm your host, John Stubbins, and we are thrilled to have you with us tonight. This is the show we put God, family, and country first, and we will always tell you the truth because that's what matters. I want to get into our coffee line real quick under the website, johnstubbins.com, which is our website. You can order any one of our delicious 3 blends, which are amazing for all you coffee snobs out there. Make sure that you get a bag. We'll send it right to your front door. You don't have to do anything except receive it, put it in your coffee maker, and make it. I think you're going to find that it's delicious. And stop ordering from Starbucks. Stop getting your coffee from, the local grocery mart. Help us. We're 100% veteran owned and ran. And we are very proud of this coffee line. So make sure that you get that. I think that you're going to find it's really, really good. And I drink it all the time now. And it's all that I drink. So feels good because I don't have to go looking for anybody else's coffee. I can get my own and our own blends, and are sent right to my door. So makes it nice. But you be the judge for yourself. I hope you're having a great new year, 2025. We're already into it, and we got a lot going on. So we're going to have an amazing guest today, our friend Pat Curry, who won House District 56 down in Texas. He's going to be our guest, and we'll be right back with him after this commercial break.
Well, my name is Larry Elder. I'm a co-founder, investor, member of the board of directors, and customer of Old Glory Bank. I'm involved in Old Glory Bank because I believe Old Glory Bank stands for fairness, stands for the willingness to accept other people who have different points of view. We become a country that's been divided between people, in my opinion, who are patriots, who believe in the values of America, and who believe that you ought not be punished for your political views. This is how our country has now evolved. Those who believe that you are wrong versus those who believe you're not just wrong, but you're evil. This is ridiculous. And people have taken sides. And if you are perceived as somebody who is on the wrong side of the political aisle, your bank may punish you. And all too often, banks now have decided to take a stance and are punishing their customers or potential customers because of those customers' views. So people that I believe think that people ought not be punished for their views are to be the people who patronize Old Glory Bank. What you're doing is saying to Old Glory Bank, I applaud the fact that you have not taken a stance. I applaud the fact that you're not canceling people just because of their views. And I applaud the fact that you're providing an alternative to those who have been canceled and who don't like the fact that some banks are canceling other people. This is about the very principles that made America great.
And we're back. I want to welcome onto the show my friend Pat Curry. Congratulations again on your huge win down in Texas, brother. How you doing?
Good. Thank you. I appreciate that. It was hard fought, a lot of work, a whole lot of work, and then the work began. So November, it actually began right after the primary, but November 6th, we were off and running pretty hard. Got sworn in November 18th, and we'll get sworn in again next week on Tuesday.
Yeah, well, you got your hands full. You got a lot coming up. I know that from talking to my friend Ken Paxton and Sid Miller and a bunch of you guys down there that I'm friends with, I know there's a lot on the table. I know Ken's on the road right now every day dealing with stuff specifically for Texas and the border and the House, getting the new speaker in line, all of that. So I know that you guys have your hands full, and we just got to hope that the new speaker is not the old speaker, right?
Right.
So let's, by the way, we're going to be scrolling Pat's information at the bottom of the screen so that you can see Pat's website, social media. You can get in contact with him. You can reach out to him, get involved, especially if you're in that district, 56, down in Waco. I know Pat would love to hear from you. So make sure that you do that. Get in contact with Pat. Let him know that you saw it through our show. I'm sure Pat will give you a shout out and some love down there in Waco. So Pat, look, I know we got a lot to cover today. Let's get right to it. I know that one of the biggest things on your agenda list is getting reimbursed on the border expenditures. I want to let you have at it for a minute and go ahead and talk about that, why that's so important.
Well, so it kind of ties to the whole border policy in the first place, right? So you have, I mean, Texas took the lead, spent our money. I believe we're probably in it right now for close to $18 billion. And we're, obviously we would like for the country to reimburse us. They denied us the money. They denied us the ability to, so we just, the state funded it and paid our own way. And so getting that $18 billion back would be great. Also, it's part of the overall border policy and discussion within the House and the state of Texas and the legislature and the governor is to reinforce our laws and fix some of the border laws that we have and establish our border security processes and procedures to be able to continue no matter what regime comes into Washington. And we now have the regime in Washington. The Trump administration will be very supportive of this, as will the House and Senate, I think. And now's the time to fix it permanently so that we can protect at least our 1,254 miles of the southern border. And so it's certainly a high priority. And my personal involvement, I own a ranch on the border. I was at the border last week. I'm at the border a lot. And so it certainly has gotten a tremendous amount better, but it's not anywhere near where it needs to be. I was actually with Sid Miller last night. We were with Tom Homan, the new border czar. And wow, I mean, I've been with him several times. Love that guy. And he is just a no BS, straight up. We got to fix this, and we're going to fix it permanently, and we're not going to let this happen again. We're going to keep the criminals out, and we're going to do the right thing.
Well, I think that you'll be very happy to know that I work very closely with Tom. I'm sure you know that.
Right.
And Tom is not only a patriot, but he's the right man for the job at the right time. And we're going to be working with Tom, not only with the Mexican government and getting things set up to deal with the cartels, but also the drones, dealing with our security on that border. So I'm heavily involved in that, and I make no apologies for that because it has to be done. And if, today it's Texas, tomorrow it's Arizona, New Mexico, etc., it's got to be done. And everybody knows it, and we're going to get the job done unapologetically. Mm-hmm. Unapologetically, because enough is enough. And like you said, you're nearing what, $18 billion in expenditures down that border that Texas has had to basically deal with on their own, and the state taxpayers. I mean, that's ridiculous. Just ridiculous. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're right. And the fact is that we're going to put more into it this year. The budget.
Oh, yeah.
And we're beefing up from our standpoint. And as you well know, our border czar is Mike Banks, and he's awesome. And he's going to work directly with Rodney Scott and with CBP, and he's going to work directly with Tom Homan, and has for years. He worked with those guys at Border Patrol for over 20 years.
Yeah, I know Rodney, and I'm working with Rodney right now, and Rodney's awesome.
That's great.
Victor Avila, Jason Jones,
yep.
Senior border correspondent for Newsmax. We work with all those guys, and this problem, it has to be dealt with, because we're starting to see things pop up even outside of Texas, by the way.
Oh yeah.
And you can foresee there's going to be some events coming up that are not good for the United States. They might be mini 9/11s or maybe something bigger than a 9/11, but all those gotaways, they didn't get away for no reason. And they're not here for, assimilation, as you know.
Right.
They weren't processed. So, we're talking probably of at least a million.
2.2 as of last night.
I mean, that's an estimation that nobody can really put a stamp on,
right,
because nobody saw them. Or if they did see them, they weren't reported. They weren't processed like the other 20 million.
Right.
Right?
Correct.
So who knows exactly how many there totally are, but whatever it is, the number's too great. And these aren't just cartels. These are also people from the Middle East.
Right.
And they're not here to assimilate. You know that.
Yeah, not just the Middle East. I mean, they're Africa. They're from all over the world.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm saying specifically, there's a Muslim problem as well that's going on around the world. Look at UK, Germany, France. I mean, Islamic Jihad has a sole purpose, and specifically stealth jihad has a sole purpose of infiltrating the said country, whatever country it is, and destroying it from within. Mm-hmm. It's stated in their charter. So we know that. Better believe what they say.
Yeah.
Because they're doing it.
I agree. So that's a priority, obviously.
Absolutely. Now, in relation to the long-term policies on protecting the border, what do you anticipate the expenditures would be just for, say, 2025?
I would guess that it's probably another $5 billion in Texas alone, and probably $5 billion a year. And that's just a rough number, but that's not too far off. $4 to $5 billion.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's just a heavy burden for the taxpayers.
Look, John, Operation Lone Star and Operation Lone Star Task Force, which Lone Star Task Force is the organization that Mike Banks and Sheriff Roy Boyd put together to go get sheriff's departments and law enforcement throughout the state of Texas, and now starting throughout the country, to join and be a part of the border security, not only when we need their help on the border to be able to send people. So McLennan County, where I live, is part of that. Sheriff Parnell McNamara has been a border advocate for years and years. He started his career 30 years, 40 years ago, whatever it was, on the border in Del Rio with the U.S. Marshals. And he retired from the U.S. Marshals, and he today was sworn in on his fourth term as our sheriff in McLennan County. We are part of Operation Lone Star Task Force, and we're on I-35. We're on the corridor. And so we're part of the communications piece. We're part of the whole piece, the whole part of the puzzle. And I think spreading that throughout the nation and getting law enforcement throughout the nation to join into this effort is critical. And Operation Lone Star and Lone Star Task Force are the model for doing that.
Absolutely.
And by the way, just so you know, that model was a big part. You know, Governor Abbott obviously it has a huge role in this. But then you also have that model was designed with Mike Banks and Tom Holman and Rodney Scott. And this whole group has pulled together to develop this model. And then we, in the state of Texas, we've all worked together to help expand it during this time of the Biden administration. And now we've got the ability to really make it work extremely well.
Sure.
Go find these children. There's over 320,000 missing children. You know, our job is to get rid of the fentanyl, get rid of the drugs, shut the border down, get people standing in line that truly need asylum and come in legally. Yeah. We need people to be legal.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm with you. I'm unapologetic about it. It needs to be done. It's got to be done, and we're going to do it.
Well, and you know, it's interesting because I've seen a lot of video from the other side of the fence with the cartels, and also the other part of it is the fentanyl now. The big thing being mixed with the xylazine, mm-hmm. which they call the zombie drug or whatever. You see what it does to people.
Sure.
You've seen the videos. I mean, it's highly disturbing at the very least, and obviously illegal, but think about the lives being destroyed. And then when it comes to the trafficking part and the component of that, you get these cartels in here thinking that they can do whatever they want on our soil. And now you're going to start adding to those numbers of kids. And they're not just going to be kids that are coming up through these caravans. You're going to have kids in America going missing. Yeah. And we got a real problem in our hands here.
Well, you got between that, the sex trafficking, the drugs. I mean, we could go on and on and on, John. I mean, it just is what it is. And so the good news is, and I will tell you, I mean, I stand in awe of where we are. The adults are now running the January 20th. The adults are in place instead of adolescents.
Right.
And you don't have stupidity being, the team. It's going to take an entire team. We need to get Kash Patel, approved by the Senate. We need to get several people approved to support the effort of what Tom Homan and President Trump are doing. And so all that's got to happen. But the reality is you could not ask for a better team and a better person than Tom Homan and Rodney Scott and those guys to lead this effort. You couldn't ask for a better solution than this. So
I'm on that team, brother. I get it. I'm happy.
we will be secured. I'm not happy. I'm still mad.
I'm happy to be a part of the team. Okay. We got work to do, but being a part of the team is the first step, because we know who's serious and who's not. And that's been proven out over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
We're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back with our friend Pat Curry.
Hunter Nation is the ultimate we the people in the conservation community, holding our elected employees accountable to the hunting, fishing, trapping, freedom lifestyle that has brought wildlife back to the healthiest and most thriving condition in our lifetime. HunterNation.org is the epicenter for freedom and wildlife conservation in America. I am Hunter Nation.
He was a victim of the unlawful spying.
If you don't trust them, you think they'll leave?
Greatest civil rights violations in American history.
Their investigation.
A window into the Trump campaign.
Unfortunately, it can happen to anyone.
And we're back with our friend Pat Curry. Pat, let's move on because we got more to cover. I know one of the other things that's kind of on your priority list, and it should be on everybody's list because I know it's on my list up here in Ohio, is property taxes. So have at it, brother.
So we have, as you probably know that we do not have a income tax in Texas. There's no state income tax. And so consequently, part of a lot of our bills are paid through property taxes. And so the amount of money that is being spent by people has exponentially increased. Inflation and everything, everything dealing with the inflationary times that we've been through because of the Biden administration, which is well over 20%, 25% inflation just during this regime. It's worse. I don't know how you could say it's worse than the border, but it's worse than the border problem. And so as a result, we're spending money like crazy and our people are being taxed to death.
Right.
And so the state of Texas did a record, a worldwide record from our understanding, $18 billion tax rebate last year, where they increased the for anybody that owned a home, they increased the cutoff for your homestead exemption to $100,000. So the first $100,000 of your home, it went from 40 to 60 to 100,000. The goal this session is to pass another 100,000, and which would be about $20 billion. We're estimating that we have a 22 to $23 billion surplus. We should get a report. I may just have gotten it actually from the comptroller on my house email, but we should have over $20 billion in excess funds that we can rebate back to the people of the state of Texas. Again, this term, we go in bienniums here. So we're only in session every 2 years. So our budgets are 2-year budgets. And so, hopefully we can make a dent in it with them. And then we got to work at the local level to cut these property taxes and cut people's valuations being risen. I mean, look, we got to cut the amount of debt that's being issued, and we've got to cut the fat out of these governments. We are fat, dumb, and unhappy. I mean, it's horrible. Yeah. And everybody feels it. And it creates another monster in inflation because it's very difficult. There's no real good way to get any kind of a tax break to people that are renting. It's just not a good way. You got thousands and thousands of people that own homes that they rent out. You have these big conglomerates that own apartments and so on and so forth. And so rent is way through the roof. And that's a problem because those are our employees. Those are our friends and neighbors and employees. And so now as businesses, we're having to pay them a fortune to be able to get them to survive and maintain the rent that they're being charged in the homes that they can't afford to own. Workforce housing is a major issue. And all those tie back into, okay, we've got to deal with property taxes, we've got to deal with workforce housing, and we've got to deal with all these jobs that we create in Texas and help our people. So we are on that. I assure you that it is a high priority for the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the legislature. And I promise you, we will be all over it this session.
Well, I, to be honest with you, there comes a point where you've, like you said, maxed out. And we really don't have another choice.
No,
it's got to happen. How about, I know school choice is another of your top priorities.
Yes.
Let's talk about that, because that's something that everybody can kind of understand. No differential, I guess, regardless of where you are in the country, we all deal with this, with this issue. So what's it like in Texas? Explain that to the folks.
Well, there are 26 new Republicans in the state of Texas in the House, and a big part of that number were people that the governor and others put up candidates to run people against, who had voted against school choice. Giving the parent the choice to be able to take their child and move them into another school, whether it's private, wherever they want to go with it, is critical. As a parent, I want a choice. Luckily I was able to go to college, but I got to choose where I went to college. I didn't have to be forced to go to college in the zip code in which I was born. And so that's the problem with a lot of children, especially these larger school districts. I mean, we have some great school districts in McLennan County and HD 56. In Central Texas, Waco area, we have some really good school districts. But the fact is that just because this school is sitting here and you're born in that zip code, you shouldn't be forced to go there. And we're funding, I mean, we'll spend $93 billion in Texas on education alone. We have 5.2 million students. And so it's a crazy amount of money that's being spent, and the test scores and the results are just not there. Competition makes everybody better. When I have competition in my businesses, I'm better. And so I will tell you that school choice and a well-run school choice program, similar to what you see in Indiana. Indiana is a great program, and it's been very successful. And oh, by the way, the public schools have grown over the last 10 years in Indiana. They've grown by 300 schools and 3,000 students, or 300,000 students, I'm sorry, and 300 schools. That's a great number, but yet their school choice program has been able to make those scores go exponentially up. Teacher pay goes up. All those things happen because of the fact that they have competition. They may have competition where the teacher can go form a micro school. It doesn't have to be a private school. This isn't about rich people and their kids going to private school. So school choice and giving parent choices is a real thing. And it's very successful in Florida. It's very successful in Indiana. It's very successful in most of the other states that it has been implemented in. We are working very hard, and I believe we'll have the votes to be able to put school choice into Texas, and we will fund it separately from education funding. So it's its own bucket of money. It's a separate bank account, has nothing to do with education funding, and we'll have the guardrails in it to be able to watch and see the results of it. And I think you're going to see that pass this session.
I think that's music to Texans' ears, and I also think that it's going to be a great test case to lead by example for the rest of the country. Because even with school choice, you can always refine your policy on that, right, and make it better. Right. So I think it's great, and kudos to you for leading the charge on that, Pat.
Kudos to Governor Abbott. Let me tell you, Governor Abbott went out on a limb. And he put his neck out. So did the lieutenant governor. They put their neck out and said, you know what? This is real. We know what we're talking about. And they did everything they could to convince some of these legislators. The legislators said that they voted against it. They were told, if you vote against it, then we're going to come run against you. And they did. And I will tell you, it worked. And so they won all but one or two seats that they went after. And I'm talking about some established legislators, and I know a lot of people in the legislature were sad to see them go, but they made a mistake. And the fact of the matter is it wasn't just one mistake; it was a series of mistakes, and they had plenty of opportunity to fix that, and they didn't.
And they did not. That's it.
And so, you know what? If you got the power, use it. And
That's right. That's
unapologetically.
Right. Lastly, let's talk about abortion drugs.
Okay.
I know that abortion drugs, making them, you came up with the HB 1339.
Correct.
And this makes them class 2, right?
Yeah. So it would basically make it illegal for you to possess mifepristone or misoprostol in Texas unless you had a prescription from a doctor to do so. It also makes them a class 2 drug where they have to be locked up, so you can't get your hands on them immediately. You can get on them immediately, but you have to be a doctor that prescribes them to be able to get them immediately. 70% of abortions today are those drugs. More importantly, they're harmful if they're misused and not under the guidance of a doctor or professional that really knows how to use them. They are very harmful to the health of women, and that could go to New Mexico or other states and get them prescribed, and they overtake them, and it causes serious bleeding issues and kills. It absolutely kills them. It could, and so it's important to put some guardrails on that and be able to say, you know what, they're both good drugs. They just don't. This is not the morning after pill either, by the way. These are the abortion drugs that the federal government under the Biden administration allows you to go online and lie about your name, your age, and everything about yourself, even your address, and get them shipped to you and with a one-page instruction. And that's got to stop. We can't do it.
Yeah.
And so what's important about this is to put guardrails around it, to say, hey, let the right people prescribe it for the right reasons, and we're not trying to control that situation, but we can't keep letting it get out of hand. We're following a Louisiana law that Representative Presley actually put out, and it passed in Louisiana, and they signed it into law. They're going to have to fix it a little bit because they didn't require an in-person doctor visit. So basically, just so you know, I pretty well stole that law, and then I added to it that it requires an in-person visit to the doctor in order to get the prescription. And by the way, we will have a record of the doctors that sign off on these drugs, just like you do with opioids. And we will know if this doctor's overprescribing them for whatever reason, because we know what percentage of the women actually need them. And so it's just accountability, which we need more of, accountability and transparency.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. And we're going to get it. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you.
Great update. Hang back in the green room. We'll talk with you here in a minute when the show's over, okay?
I'll be there. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back. By now, you've all heard me talk about Mike and his great products. Well, guess what? Mike's now introduced his MyPillow My Slippers, which are fantastic. Great on my feet, soft as can be. I love them. Mike's taken over 2 years to develop these slippers. He's designed them to wear indoor or outdoor all day, all night long. Made with MyPillow foam and impact gel to help prevent fatigue. Made with quality leather suede. For a limited time, Mike is offering 40% off his new My Slippers. The My Slippers are so comfortable, you're going to want to get them for the whole family. Go to mypillow.com and click on the radio listener square and use promo code Indivisible. You'll also get deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets, the MyPillow mattress topper, and MyPillow towel sets. Or call 1-800-716-4639 and enter Indivisible as your promo code. We're out of time, folks. Great show tonight. It was really nice to have Brother Pat Curry back on the show. And we'll get more updates from him in 2025 as we move through the year to follow what's going on down in Texas. God bless you. God bless your families. And God bless America. We will see you next week.